Hey guys, welcome back to Macaw Takeover. Today we thought we'd give you an update on our journey to free flight with Maui and how we got him to this stage. So when Maui was very young, we started off with harness training. The harness we're using is the large aviator harness. There will be a link in the description for that harness. And it's just a case of really introducing him to the harness very slowly. As you can see, lots of rewards, one step at a time. First we're just showing it to him, and then after about 2 weeks, we're able to do this, where we're able to get one wing over the time and put the harness on. Always telling him what we're doing. So we'll say head first, then we'll say wing, then we'll say other wing, give him rewards in between. Now we hardly have to give him any rewards at all. We probably might give him one reward for putting the entire thing on. He's got a lot better with it. But this was the very early days to get him used to wearing the harness. There was a note there that just popped up to say that we'd put the harness attachment onto our waist, onto the belt buckle. We don't do it anymore. We actually throw it on the wrist. It's much easier on the wrist, so ignore that comment. This is actually part of an older video. If you haven't seen the full version of this, make sure you check it out. Again, link will be below. So the next step really was to get Maui used to wearing the harness, but actually take him around and do something with him. So it wasn't just a case of putting it on and taking it off, putting it on, taking it off. Then know that if it goes on, he gets to do something. So he this used to like going around the house. So he's taken around, shown different rooms of the house, because before this he would normally be kept in one room. Now, some 5 months on, he actually goes around the house wherever he wants to go. But this at this time was a treat for him. So it's a case of you put the harness on, now you get to do a treat, you get to do something different, and then we'll take the harness off. And then each time we're doing this, we were introducing the harness for a longer and longer period of time. And of course, not to forget that taking the harness off is as important as putting the harness on. From the point of view, you want to make sure the bird is completely calm. So again, extra rewards while we're doing this, and again, telling him what we're doing as well. And that has really paid off. You'll be surprised how much macaws understand, what words they understand. So we tell him one wing at a time, we tell him what wing we're doing, then we say to him other wing, and then finally we say head, and you'll see in a minute he'll put his head down and let's take it off over his head. And we still do that today, and it works extremely well. He sits in his perch very patiently while we take the harness off, and then we give him a final reward once it's off completely.
That's it. Good boy. Well done, Maui. Yay. Well done.
So once we're able to get the harness on and off with ease and walking around the house with ease as well, we decided the next positive step was to take him outside. So this is the second time that he was out in the garden. And again, if you've not seen the full clip, make sure you check that out. Link will be below. It really, again, the idea of this is just to get him used to different surroundings, because before he was used to one room in the house originally, then he was used to the entire house, different rooms, got more comfortable with that, and then this again, first time outside, getting used to the wind, the different sounds, the noise, the fact that you can see the sky, the birds. And it's all about giving them enrichment and also getting them used to their surroundings as well. So we continued this training much like we did around the house. It's a case of every time the harness comes on, at this point, it'd be the harness goes on, and then the reward is to go outside for a period of time. Initially only 5 minutes or so, and then we extended that to a longer period of time, so we get used to actually being in the garden. And then we bought some additional perches for the garden as well. We have a perch that stays out there all the time with a great big piece of apple tree branch on there. You have to be super careful as to what trees you use as branches for your perches. Because some trees are poisonous for different parrots, especially macaws. So apple tree is absolutely fine. He loves it. He loves picking the bark off it, and it gives him a place to go back to. So he knows that that's his safe place when he goes in the garden, is his actual perch with the branch on it. And then once he was used to the garden, the next step was to take him outside, as in outside, out of our property, and for short walks around the block. Initially just down to probably less than 100 yards, probably about 50 yards, down to where we have a couple of trees. Which he used to play in, and then we extended those walks further and further until we could walk around the block. Yes, we definitely got some odd looks, which is absolutely fine, and we've got lots of friendly neighbours and people around in our village who often stop and talk to us about him and find out more about him, which is absolutely lovely. But that's all good, because again, he's getting used to a different environment, and he's also getting used to different people. We did find that Maui went through a stage where that he would really be attached to just Louise and I and be a bit funny of strangers, but he's starting to get out of that now. It's going to take a bit of time. It's going to take him time to get used to seeing other people around, and this is really helping him get over that. Then on New Year's Eve 2021, so New Year's just gone, we had a very big day for Maui. We put the harness back on him. It hadn't been on him for some time during this period because it had been horrible weather and obviously darker evenings and more restrictive. So we managed to get the harness back on him, and actually we took him out to the local park. So this was a big day because it's the very first time that he got to go in his travel cage. Again, if you've not seen this video, please check out the link that I'll put in the description below. The travel cage we're using is actually a dog cage. It's a large dog cage. We find this works particularly well. Right now, this is the very first time that he's going in it. Since being in it now, probably about a dozen times, he absolutely goes in with ease. He steps up into it without a problem. But you see from the first time I put him in it, he wasn't that interested. He wanted to keep coming back out. But he's got used to it because he knows, again, that if he goes in the travel cage, he gets to go and do something. Same as when we were putting the harness on originally. Puts the harness on, he got to walk around the house, or he got to go out in the garden, or he got to go for a walk around the block. Now the harness is all about go in the harness, you go in the travel cage, and you go to the park or to some family houses. So he's much better at this now, but this is the very first time we put him in there. And then that enabled us to take him to the park. We're pretty lucky that we have a park just a few minutes away from our house, which is ideal for the very first time that Maui went into his travel cage. Just want to make sure he's okay inside the car. So we left our back seats down so we could still see him, to make sure he wasn't falling off his perch or getting too upset or too distressed, which he didn't at all. So that was super cool. And pretty much like our garden, we brought a perch with us. Now the idea behind this is that it's Maui's safe space. So by having a perch, he knows he can always go back to the perch and he can land that perch. And we're going to continue this throughout all of his training and even when we're free flying him as well. So when he's off the harness, he'll know that he can always land back on his perch. So he knows that is a safe space. So again, this is the first time we took him out. Just took the perch for us. Unfortunately, it was an absolutely grey day and a very windy day. But again, the full video is available below so you can see that. On his first trip out, he was quite reserved. Obviously, again, everything is brand new. If you think about it, this is the biggest space that Maui has ever been in. Not only has he just got in a car and in travel cage for the first time, but he's now gone to the park, which is an absolutely massive open space. There's other birds around. On this particular visit, there wasn't any other people there, which was probably a good thing. But we did notice that, he was very reluctant to leave my hand or Louisa's hand. He did do some training. We started off slowly with just some step up training from the perch to the hand, and then some touch training using a stick and a clicker. And then we managed to get him to do a few short hops and a few short flights to us from the perch. Since filming this particular clip, he's been to the park probably, as I said, about half a dozen times. And with each time, he's getting more and more confident. He's going slightly further away from his perch. We now have a harness extension, which gives us an extra 6 meters in addition to the harness that's already attached to him. We've just ordered a second extension, which give us a further 12 meters to allow him to go further from the perch, but still be safe. Like I said, in this clip, the harness is attached to the perch, but we've now changed that, as suggested by one of our followers, Kevin, to attach it to our wrists to give us more control and to be able to go further as well and be closer, well, I guess closer to us from the point of view we're attached, but also just make it easier for him rather than pulling the perch over or possibly getting tangled with the perch. So as you can see, this is probably the very first time they come across. First time he's been in wind as well. That's a brand new consideration for him. He's not done that before, not flown in wind. So he's doing well. He's doing really well. And then finally, we have a few clips that we took very recently, actually today, which is January the 13th, showing that Maui is actually really comfortable, more comfortable flying across from his perch. And this particular outing, he's probably done that at least a dozen times. Again, he won't do it every time. He's much more responsive when he's at home. He'll come to you every time you call him. But in the park, there's still different things happening. There was actually a red kite flying over as well as some other birds and some other distractions. But again, better than the previous time, which was better than the previous time, etc., etc. So we expect we continue this for the next couple of months. Hopefully he'll be in a better position for summer where we can eventually take the harness off. So please check out the links below and also follow our journey. All the best.
Come on. Good boy.